voice told me I died. I was able to retrieve my memories that a war had broken out in my previous world. I am Rimuru, a mere slime. My subconscious was reincarnated into a world that one would perceive as a game. Five years later, I was able to build a village where species from different kingdoms united under my leadership, and a functional economy emerged. In this new society, everyone called me Queen.
Since this is our new business, let's discuss our expenditure cycle, the payroll processing.
Payroll processing is a special case purchasing system in which the firm purchases labor rather than raw materials or finished goods for resale. In the Philippines, 59.5% within the country's population represent the economically active in the labor force. These workers, both employed and unemployed, rely on the payroll process within their work for their income stability and overall economic growth of the country. Considering payroll is a separate form of expenses, the process has to be considered the need for special procedures for these reasons. Firstly, the firm establishes different payroll procedures that differ among the classes of employees, such as for salaried workers, piecework, and commission. It also requires special accounting procedures for tax withholdings and employee deductions that do not apply for trade accounts. Secondly, general expenditure activities account for a steady stream of purchases and disbursements, especially for the payroll process. Firms then have to design their purchasing system to deal at an expected level regarding payroll activities. The firms also have to handle their employee disbursements that occurs periodically, may be weekly, bi-monthly, or monthly preparations of payroll checks. When left uncontrolled, can overload the general purchasing and cash disbursement system. Lastly, writing and validating checks to employees requires special controls and authorization to avoid payroll fraud.
Okay, so the next discussion is the payroll process.
The starting point of the payroll process is the personnel department, where the preparation and submission of the personnel action forms that follows for the transactions in the payroll function. This process is usually handled by a firm's human resources department that handles these affairs. The production department then prepares two types of records commonly used for recording the period of which employees have contributed in work: the job tickets and the time cards. Job tickets record the time individual workers spend in each of the production job. Cost accounting will then utilize the documents to account for direct labor rates to the work in process accounts. Time cards also record the time spent by employees working shifts. These are usually documented for salary-based work commonly used by the 9-to-5 work schedules or the variation for time-based work. After such, the work in process account is updated to allocate the prepared charges of labor, then forwarded to the general ledger, followed by accounting for the accounts payable to register payroll charges. A clerk would confirm the documents received and would then prepare and record payroll vouchers to the cash disbursements, which would then be accounted in the general ledger. Payroll preparations follow, as payroll departments receive the pay rate, withholding data from the personnel department, and hours worked data in the production department. A clerk would employ tests to ensure the validity of data and accountability for the summaries. This includes comparing recorded overtime and deductions with employee records, inspecting the net pay calculations to be accurate, and then would file the records payroll register for compilation. Next would be the cash disbursements, where receipt of the vouchers would activate the cash disbursement function to prepare a single check for the entire amount of the payroll and deposits it in the payroll impressed account. An employee or worker would usually receive a check from their departments for them to withdraw cash from the payroll impressed account, or would automatically transfer towards their own bank accounts depending on the business. After this, the general ledger would be updated. The summary received from the workers and employees withdrawing from the accounts would be accounted for the ledger, restoring the amounts payable, changes to salaries, or commission expenses to be balanced in debiting and crediting the accounts. Tests would also be employed to ensure accountability in those records.
Good day, everyone. I will be discussing the payroll systems. There are two common systems where organizations record their payroll systems: manual payroll systems and the automatic payroll systems. Manual payroll systems usually employ physical documents and employ more manpower to check and cross-reference the accounts given. Authorization for each of the steps in the payroll process takes longer. Bottlenecks would occur as verification data takes time, and would usually add costs for overhead such as papers, printing, and etc. Small-time businesses usually use this setup as purchasing of accounting software would not be expensively used for small and minute calculations and recording, and would actually be costly for them to maintain. Automatic payroll systems requires the use of accounting software that constantly updates its information as new inputs are being received. These softwares, as of current times, are currently cloud-based. In turn, backups and retrieval of data is simplified. Users still have to add costs for maintenance and production of master files for added security and preparations for the software, but in long runs are more cost-saving than manual-based systems for large-scale operations. I have another data to discuss to everyone. My subordinate sent me this information regarding risks and controls.
Risk number 1. Shows users have inaccurately recorded transactions, cases which occur of human error. To counter this, keeping an audit trail for tracing a transaction from source documents to financial statements can help identify misstatements, usually in the form of physical accounting records. Having IT controls also helps, such as the following. Data input edits would need to be cross-referenced with the master file. If errors are not detected, these errors will corrupt the master file of the system when updated. Some accounting software also produce error messages if there are mismatches in time cards of personal action data to employee records, which can be solved instantly. Having file backup and automated posting accounts after resolving such problems would help keep the master file up to date of current and exact data. The second situation applies through payroll fraud, which might occur through the submission of time cards of employees who no longer work for the firm, overpayment of an employee, clocking in for an employee who is late and absent, and improper access of accounting records. Physical controls employ proper transaction authorization, segregation of duties, supervision of recording and verifying documents, and access control of documents to ensure no alterations and fraud can occur in these physical documents. IT controls for computer-based payroll systems may employ limit test, biometric scanners or swipe cards or pins for time ins and outs, automated test, and direct deposit of paycheck accounts to also ensure security of payroll funds. The last example would occur in company record systems regarding confidential data for payroll systems and employees, where unauthorized access would occur. IT controls for that situations is to apply multi-level security and hard-to-crack passwords for these systems in place.
That was all for my report. Now, we'll just have to discuss the company we've analyzed.
A sample corporation we have chosen for analysis in their payroll processing is the company Zuilig Pharma. Zuilig Pharma is a healthcare services corporation that includes pharmaceutical distribution, medical care, and clinical research. With over 10,000 employees, the company employs accounting and payroll software to account for its large workforce in providing healthcare services. Here is a sample of their payroll process. Their payroll cycle for office-based employees have their payment distribution every 20 days, with checkouts for funds every 5 days after the 15th and the 30th of their bi-monthly productivity. Their process is simplified for the payroll cycle. Human resources departments collate the attendance data for their employees per department, and then these departments before the pandemic utilized automated systems such as swipe cards for the time's ins and outs. But due to the pandemic, they are recorded via online presence in their emails and Zoom activity, which are then recorded by their HR. The HR then uploads back the collated data to their respective department heads to confirm and validate the work schedule, writing e-signatures for confirmation of other employees, giving overtime or penalties to remote absences. The verified data is then uploaded back to their HR, where the HR automatically inputs the data in their SAP systems, and in turn uploads the payroll vouchers to their employees' bank account, where checks are post-dated for 5 days from collection period.
Company risk and controls. At the start of the pandemic, a lot has changed for the company to adjust within their operations. With current offices being worked by skeletal workforce and most of their businesses revolve around work-from-home employees, Zuilig Pharma might use these controls to restrict the situational risk amidst the pandemic. The first risk would be timestamps are hard to collate as there is an unofficial system of collecting attendance amidst the pandemic. To control this risk, the company shall employ a program that the HR can utilize evidence of presence in their home-based workforce installed on their company-sponsored laptop, using the webcam to collect a selfie with online timestamps to record time ins and outs. The second risk would be workers will only leave their company-sponsored laptop online and check emails instead of doing productive work for the company while at home. To control this risk, the company could employ a company-mandated software update within rented items to have authorization for supervisors access to computer timestamps of activities, like participating in Zoom calls, checking on making of time-bounded sales analysis charts, and also productivity in team producing output.
Good work, everyone! I'm glad we're all here together to discuss such an important topic for our business. It's an honor for all of us. Queen.